This is a fascist regime. Now, the website revcom.us has described fascism as follows: the exercise of blatant dictatorship by the bourgeois capitalist imperialist class, ruling through reliance on open terror and violence, trampling on what are supposed to be civil and legal rights, wielding the power of the state, and mobilizing organized groups of fanatical thugs to commit atrocities against masses of people, particularly groups of people identified as enemies, undesirables, or dangers to society. This is what the Trump-Pence regime will mean to the country and to the world. We must not let this go down. We must act now to stop this regime before it gets started. And look, I know that this system, this capitalist imperialist system, already inflicts unspeakable horrors on people in this country and around the world. I know that it's devastating the environment of the very planet that we live on. And people here have been fighting that for years. I know that the U.S. wages wars for empire in the Middle East that have caused the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people and driven countless millions into exile. People like Jeremy have done tremendous exposure of that. I know that in this country, women are treated like sex objects in punching bags. I know that their right to choose to have an abortion is under attack. Many people in this room, including Fran and others, have been in this battle to fight to stop those attacks. I know that black people face savage oppression, mass incarceration, police terror, an education system that's geared to fail our youth, and more. And I've stood shoulder to shoulder with a lot of you in the fight to stop that. I also know that record numbers of undocumented immigrants have been rounded up and deported under the so-called immigration President Obama. And some people here in this room have been fighting that over the past 8 years and more too. But if this Trump-Pence regime is allowed to take power, all of these horrors will be greatly intensified. It'll be like they got put on steroids. And this regime will move to violently repress, if necessary, or intimidate any and all who dissent against it, who promote critical thinking of reality. And they'll move to cut off all possibility of resisting all these horrors. We've seen this happen before in Nazi Germany in the 1930s, in Chile and other countries in the 1970s. The whole society is drastically and radically changed. And the horrors that go down darken the sky, as one historian put it. And it does so for a long time. So that's why I'm here tonight, and that's why we're all here, to stop a fascist regime from taking the reins of power in society. And the unity that we need to do this has to encompass tens of millions of people who see the importance of doing this. Now, a lot of y'all know me. I'm still the same guy. I'm a revolutionary communist. I'm a follower of Bob Avakian. I've spent my life fighting to make revolution and bring into being a radically different world. And I know that this is still what humanity needs to end the horrors of this system once and for all, and that making this revolution is possible. And right now, coming from that viewpoint, I see the need, the burning need, to throw in with everybody else to accomplish a goal that is far short of revolution. And that goal is stopping the Trump-Pence regime before it gets started. See, and I see the need to do that because humanity needs to stop this regime to be able to fight for any kind of larger goal. So that's what we need to do. Now, how do we do it? To get into that, I want to read a paragraph from the plan issued by refusefascism.org. Imagine if people in the tens of millions filled the streets, powerfully declaring that this regime is illegitimate and demanding that it not be allowed to rule. The whole political landscape would be dramatically transformed. Every faction within the established power structure would be forced to respond. And all this could well lead to a situation in which this fascist regime is actually prevented from ruling. This is not some idle dream, but something which could be made a reality if all those who hate what is represented by this regime translate their outrage into firm determination and massive mobilization to create the conditions which make this possible. So that's what we need to do, and it begins right here tonight.